3, 2, 1. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, site of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl Media Day. Just wrapped up with the Ohio State Buckeyes here in Atlanta as they're getting ready for practice a couple days now before the Peach Bowl starts. Want to just give you a quick update from what we learned here this morning as we had about 45 minutes with basically any Ohio State player that you wanted to talk to. There were lots of guys behind us on essentially what is like a 50-yard field or so. Coaches and players were made available at tables all over the place, and it was free forum. Anybody that wanted to ask questions of any players could. It was a great morning, and you could tell there's a lot of excitement and energy in the air here in Atlanta. I guess the biggest takeaway from CJ Stroud, first and foremost, he says his legacy isn't written yet. CJ is really confident that his best football is in front of him. He feels like he's played well this year. But he said, look, I'm not done writing my story yet, and I don't want people to think that I've mentally checked out of anything because right now this is the most important place to be, and trying to win a national championship starts with a game on Saturday against Georgia. So he referenced them by name, most of the quarterbacks that have played at Ohio State the last 2 decades, really, and said, look, I take a lot of pride in trying to live up to their legacy, and I don't think that my story's quite done being written yet. So hopefully we have the best to come still for CJ Stroud here in the coming week. Beyond that, Ryan Day talked, and Ryan comes across comfortable, but also pretty focused, and I think he's pretty grateful to be here, but not just happy to be here. They think they can win the whole thing, and it starts with a huge game on Saturday night against a team that he says is extremely well balanced in all 3 phases. I asked him what he thought was most impressive about Georgia. And he said the fact that they don't seem to have a weakness. They're just as good on offense as they are on defense, as they are on special teams. He said it's going to take a really complete effort for them to win. Admittedly, I kind of expected him to say something along those lines, but I also think there's a lot of truth to it because Georgia has shown that they are pretty arguably the most complete team in the country this year. So it's certainly going to be fun. And as far as the holidays went, Ryan said, look, we tried really hard to give players an opportunity to go spend a couple days with their families, and then they got here on Christmas night. He thought it was important to try to involve the families of the players just as much as they could, the players themselves. Most of the families are going to be down here, and the players had the option to whether or not they wanted to go home or whether they wanted to take the charter down with the team. But everybody's here, and they're looking forward to practice coming up here in just a little bit. Talked with JT Tuimoloau, and it was a really nice conversation. He is such a family-oriented kid, and you could tell how grateful he is for his family's support. And he talked a lot about Coach Johnson, who I know has taken some heat this year, but he said, look, Coach Johnson has been as influential on my growth as anybody. He calls him his grandfather. He said, look, I'm that far away from home, but we're that close that I feel like he's family. And obviously with the steps that he's taken forward this year, gosh, JT is as impressive as any defensive player that Ohio State fans have seen in college football this year. I don't know if he's the best defensive player in the country, but he sure has an extremely bright future ahead of him. He expressed how important this opportunity is for him to live in the moment, because this is what he's always dreamed about, playing in the college football playoff. And it took him back to moments during his recruiting process, thinking about trying to get here. And he said, look, I just want to love this. I want to enjoy it. I want to be here and soak this all up and win. JT's a really humble kid. He's an impressive guy and somebody I think Ohio State fans should be proud to root for. And speaking of those kinds of guys, maybe we'll wrap with Tommy Eichenberg. Had a nice conversation with Tommy too. He is he's going to bleed scarlet and gray his whole life. Tommy loves being a Buckeye, and I think he's getting a little bit more comfortable with all of the other stuff that's going on around playing, because there are certainly some moments early in the year where I think he was trying to figure out how comfortable is this. I don't think he loves talking to the media. I don't think he loves cameras being in his face, but I think he is learning how to relish the attention. Still going to be himself, right? He's still a quiet, humble kid, but I think he's becoming more comfortable. It's a sign of maturity for me, not just what we've seen from him on the field, but as he continues to grow as a young man. He's really impressive. Tommy's a little more thoughtful than maybe people give him credit for. And he said, I tried really hard to be where my feet are. He went home during the break, and tried to enjoy a couple days with his family. And I said, how difficult is it to do that when you know what's ahead of you a week later? He kind of laughed. He said, you can't really ignore it. You try to still train a little bit, but it's been good for my body to have a little bit of time off. But he said it's also, by the same token, it's almost better to keep trying to grind through when you're in season. You don't want to take too much time off. You want to be still thinking about what's to come, especially with as hard as they've worked to try to get here. So looking forward to seeing Tommy Eichenberg hopefully playing his best football on Saturday night as well. He said Brock Bowers is really, really good. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Buckeyes. He loves the way that Bowers attacks the passing game, but recognizes he's a great blocker as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to pay attention to him for Georgia. All right, that's a quick update. We'll certainly have plenty more coming throughout the week. Ohio State and Georgia about 48 hours away, maybe a little bit more than that since it's still the morning time here on Thursday. But we'll have plenty more this week on BuckeyesNow.com and certainly here on our YouTube channel as well. So for the next few minutes, we're going to check out the College Football Hall of Fame. And then Ohio State's got an open portion of practice that they're going to let the media watch for about 15 minutes. So we'll let you know if there's anything important from that as well. By the way, one last quick update, because I know a lot of people were wondering. Ryan Day said Mayan Williams is expected to practice today. He's obviously been sick the last couple of days. That's made a bunch of the headlines here, but the anticipation is that Mayan will be back out there here this afternoon. So we'll keep our eye on that. Okay, I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for hanging with us for a few minutes on Buckeyes Now. We'll keep you covered as the Peach Bowl is now just a couple days away.